Hey everyone, welcome back to my therapy lounge. My name is Joanna. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and today is episode 15 of Walks with Lily, where I walk my dog and we talk about anything mental health. Today, we're going to be talking about how to stop negative thinking. So, have you ever had a bad day and thought to yourself, everything just goes wrong for me? Or maybe you didn't do good at something and you immediately thought to yourself, I'm just not good enough. If so, then you might be falling into what psychologist Martin Seligman called the problematic P's. So, thinking that setbacks are either personal, pervasive, or permanent. But the good news is you can rewire your brain to be more resilient and optimistic. So today we're breaking down Seligman's work on positive psychology and how to break free from these mental traps with examples for work, relationships, and dating. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first let's start out with some background. Who is Martin Seligman? He is often called the father of positive psychology, which is a branch of psychology that focuses on identifying an individual's strengths. He shifted psychology's focus from what's wrong with people to what makes people thrive. His research revealed that how we explain setbacks to ourselves determines whether we bounce back or stay stuck. Seligman's work started with studies on learned helplessness, and he later discovered the opposite, which is learned optimism. So before we get into the 3 P's, let's take a look at learned helplessness and learned optimism. All right, so learned helplessness is when an individual believes that they have no control over negative outcomes, which leads to passive acceptance and giving up. How this can present is feeling low motivation, depressed or low mood, reduced ability to problem solve, and the belief that effort doesn't matter. So for example, nothing I do works. And next, let's take a look at learned optimism. So learned optimism is the ability to cultivate a positive explanatory style, viewing setbacks as temporary, external, and changeable. So how this can present is someone who exhibits resilience, persistence, sees failures as temporary. So for example, this will pass. They attribute problems to specific causes, not personal flaws. And they believe in personal agency, so I can improve. So the key difference here between learned helplessness is that learned helplessness focuses on permanent, pervasive, and personal explanations for failure. For example, I always fail at everything. And learned optimism focuses on temporary, specific, and changeable explanations. So for example, well, I failed this time, or I didn't do as good as I wanted to this time, but I can still learn. So Seligman's work shows that while helplessness can be conditioned, optimism can also be taught through cognitive restructuring and reframing your thoughts. So now that we learned some background into learned helplessness and learned optimism, let's take a look at the 3 problematic P's. Seligman found that pessimistic people explain setbacks as either personal, pervasive, or permanent. So let's start out with the first one, personalization. So it's all my fault. So an example here is, let's say you get laid off and think, I'm terrible at my job, instead of, the company had budget cuts Another situation is, let's say you're working on a group project, you're a student working on a group project, and your group gets a bad grade. So thought here is, I ruined it for everyone because my section was weak. It's a big Doberman there. So instead of reframing that negative thought to, well, we all contributed and the feedback helps us improve. And a third situation for taking things personally is a friend cancels plans last minute and you think, oh, they just don't like me anymore. Instead of reframing to, they probably have something urgent, I'll check back with them later. So personalization makes you blame yourself for things that are outside of your control. Next is pervasive. Everything is ruined. So an example here is you fail a test and think, I'm bad at everything, rather than I struggled with this subject. Another situation is a promotion at work goes to someone else. Thought here is, oh, well, my whole career is doomed, instead of, well, this is just one opportunity, I'll find others. And third situation or example is a bad first date. Negative thought here is, dating is hopeless, I'll never click with anyone. Instead of reframing to, well, not every date works out, but the right person is out there for me. So pervasiveness turns one problem into a global failure. And lastly, permanence. This will never change. So an example here is, after a breakup, you think, I'll never find love again, instead of, you know, I'm hurting now, but I will heal. I'll get through this. Another situation is losing at a fitness challenge. Negative thought here is, well, I'll never be in shape. Instead of a reframe of, I'm still building habits, progress takes time. And last example is a content creator makes or posts their first video and it flops. So permanent thought here is, I'll never succeed. Instead of a reframe of, most successful content creators are consistent and pivot to their audience needs. This is just my first try. So permanence assumes things will last forever, like they'll never change. So how do you reframe these 3 Ps? Well, the good news is you can do that by using the ABCDE model. So first is identifying the adversity, which is the setback, then the belief, which is your interpretation, so one of the 3 Ps, the consequence, how you feel and act, the disputation, so this is here where you're challenging the belief with facts and evidence, and then energization, you take a new and empowered outlook on it. So the first example of using the ABCDE model is the workplace mistake. So the adversity, you send an email to your entire company with an embarrassing typo. The belief here could be, if it's personalization, I'm so stupid, everyone will think I'm incompetent. If it's pervasiveness, well, now my whole reputation of this company is ruined. And permanence would be, I'll never live this down. The consequence is you avoid speaking up in meetings, constantly worry coworkers are judging you. And the disputation, everyone makes mistakes, even the CEO has sent typos before. Most people will forget about this by tomorrow. This was one email, not a reflection of all my skills. And I can double check important emails in the future. So then lastly, the energization is, I'll use this as motivation to be more careful, but won't beat myself up. My worth isn't defined by this one typo. There's this pretty cool, I guess, statue or sculpture. And the second example of using the ABCDE model is dating rejection. So the adversity is someone you really like ghosts you after 3 seemingly great dates. The belief here, personalization, would be there must be something wrong with me. Pervasiveness looks like I'm terrible at dating and relationships. And permanence is I'll always get rejected like this. The consequence is you stop going on your apps and turn down friends' setup attempts. And disputation is their behavior says more about them than me. Ghosting is immature. So here we're challenging. I've had good connections before and I will again. 3 dates isn't enough to truly know someone. Maybe we weren't as compatible as I thought. And this is one person's opinion, not a universal truth. So then the energization is I'll take a short break if needed, but won't let this stop me from meeting someone great. The right person will appreciate me. Some key takeaways here is first is separate facts from catastrophizing. So this happened versus this means everything is ruined. Second is find alternative explanations that don't involve personal failure. Third is focus on what's within your control moving forward. And fourth is remember temporary does not equal permanent. Emotions and situations change. Many companies use positive psychology for employee resilience training, and therapists teach it for anxiety. Even professional athletes use this as well. So next time you face a setback, ask yourself, am I making this personal, pervasive, or permanent? Then by challenging those thoughts, you can help yourself build resilience. And let me know in the comments down below, which one of these 3 P's do you struggle with the most? And if you're looking for resources on how to deal with anxiety, how to challenge intrusive thoughts, and how to deal with toxic people, as well as challenging negative core beliefs, go to mytherapylounge.com/shop. All right, everyone, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.